Hello everyone, welcome once again to another Power BI related tutorial by Team Slideshow. In this part, we are learning about time intelligence in Power BI, basically the functions that are related to time intelligence in Power BI, and we will learn how to do year over year analysis. So as you can see here, the date that we have selected is from 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024. That is the entire year of 2024. And here you can see sum of sales for this year. And this is year over year sales. That means for the same period, that is for last year, what was the year over year sales. Okay. So whatever period you will select here, you will see this value will dynamically change. So that is what we have to do. So for example, if we just select from 1st of January, then you will see that 1024K is sum of sales for the year 24 and 876K is sum of sales for 2023. How to do that in Power BI we will learn. Another thing we can see here in this line chart, you can see two different lines here. One line is the continuous line which is representing this total value for different dates of 2024, and other value that you are seeing is the dashed line here, although we can show it as continuous line, there is no problem there. But this, so even though we are not showing it as a continuous line, we can go to visual settings, and from here we can select the lines. We can select year over year sale or total sale, and we can show it as a solid line. So that's your choice. Although as a dash lines, we mean that we are just showing the data for the preceding period, the same preceding period. And all of this will dynamically change on the change of data. So how to do that, right? How to show sales for selected time period and for same period last year, and what is the year over year percentage of change. So that is something that we are going to learn now. So first thing that we have to do is we have to understand the data set that we have. So in the data set that we have date, sales value of the at the particular date, category and index. So there are multiple things that you have to understand. Although this index is not necessary, but you can consider this index as a value that is unique for each row. Now this date, the format of this date is like this: 14 March 2001 long date format. Okay, so make sure that you have changed the date format to long date format, and then obviously sales value can be anything. Then this category can be used to see performance for different categorical filters. Okay, so for example, we want to see the value for different categorical filters, like we will just add uh, you know one slicer here, and in the slicer we will just add one category. So this category can be anything, and you can have n number of categorical fields. So for example, we want to show value for clothing, so you can see sum of sales for clothing in the given period, sum of sales for electronic, and so on. If we select the entire value, then you will be able to see that as well. So from here you can change your dates, and from here you can select a category. If you want to clear, you can clear like this. So this is important thing here. The category or this type of data can be used as a filter. So after having this data set, what you have to do is, the first thing that you have to do, you have to create a date table. Okay, so how to do that? Let's open another Power BI, and in this Power BI desktop we are going to see this step by step, because there are a lot of steps. So what I have simply done is I have also written down these steps, and in these steps you will be able to see what you have to do. The first thing, obviously, export the data. whether you have Excel file or CSV file depending upon that. So since we have the Excel file in our Power BI desktop, we will use Excel workbook connector, and in the connector we will connect the dataset. After connecting the dataset, select the sheet, make sure you are seeing the values properly, and just load your data. After loading your data, once the load is complete, you can see we have around 1000 rows of data. So now you can see all values. So in your table view, click on your data and make sure that you have selected this date format or whatever you have selected. Important is that, because in the next step that will be repeated. Now next thing is you have to create a calculated table here, right? So go to modeling tab and create a new table. In your new table you have to use this formula. I will provide you this formula here. So what you have to do is you have to use this DAX code. So what this DAX code is saying, we are creating a DAX table, we are creating a date table, and we are adding columns here, add columns. In columns, so when you use add columns, here it asks for a table name. So we are using calendar. In calendar, we are using a start date. The start date will be the minimum date from your original data set. So from our original data set, the minimum date is 1st January 2022 because the data starts from 2022. So we are using the first date of 2022 and the data ends on last day of 2024. So we are using 31st 12 2024 and the format is year, okay, month and date. So use calendar function, write date function, inside date function you have to write year, month and day. So we have written start date and end date. Now we are adding a column year. So from the date that we have created, we are going to select year. From the date that we have created, we are going to use format date and we are going to write MMM so that we can get Jan, Feb, 3 letters. Then we are also going to write month number. So we are going to use the month function for this. This way, when you will calculate this, it will be created. Okay. Now you will see the columns. First column is date, then year, then month, then month number. Now here what you can do, you can see different properties related to this column. Now after doing this much, okay, so enter the DAX formula, mark this as date table. So click the date table in the fields pane, go to table tools and mark as date table. Okay, so for example, once we have selected this, we are inside the table tool. So you can see mark as date table. So just mark it as date table and select the column as date. This way, this date column will be marked as date and you will see another icon here. So just click OK and now you are seeing this icon. This is very important step. Okay, so make sure you selected the table, you are inside table tools, you can mark, you can also be inside this and from here also you can mark a date table. Okay, so this either from table view or whatever you are using, mark it as date. Now after doing this, okay, the other step will be to go to your model view. In your model view, you have to tell Power BI that the date empty date table that we have created, where we have selected the first date of 22 to last date of 24, because that is the range of data that we have originally here, right? In our data here, you can see we have data from January 22 to December 24. Okay, so Here what you have to do, you have to join this date with this. So you have to set up the relationship, and this relationship, if you will edit, this relationship will be many to one. So many dates, because in your actual sales data, on one day you can have many sales, but in your date table, one date will be unique. Okay, so that's why many to one. Make sure it is like that. Now you have this relationship, and this is the important step. Next is, now we have to create some measures. So go to modeling tab, and in modeling tab, let's create measures one by one. So we have to create the total sales measure. This total sales measure is basically going to represent what is the total sales value. For example, if we add a card here and add a value, this is 3 million. Okay, so when we will apply filters, this will change. So basically we are just creating a measure. So go to modeling tab, new measure, here create total sales. We are just going to use sum year over year sales data. This is the table. So we are doing a mistake here. So the mistake is, I am creating measure in this. We have to create a measure in this table. Now you can see total sales here. Okay, we are just selecting the sales column from this table. So we will just create, and total sales will be created. And just for reference, what you can do, you can add a card here, and in your card you can display the data. Okay, we can apply some kind of effect here, so like shadow, visual border, and now we can copy this. Here we are going to calculate the second value. The second value is year over year sale. So in Power BI, there are some time intelligence functions, and YoY, for YoY we can use same period last year. So we can go to modeling, new measure. Sorry for noise from behind. Here we are going to create year over year sale. So this year over year sale, for this we are going to use calculate. In calculate you write your expression. Our expression is already this measure, that is sum of sales, and second value is your filter. So the filter that we are applying, same period last year, and from date table, date, we are selecting date. Okay, make sure from your date table, this is the name of date table, we are selecting the date column which we marked as date. Okay, now apply. There is one more thing that we have to do here. Once we have created year over year sales, drag it here. So you can see 3 million, 2 million. That means, same period last year, it is showing 3 million and 2 million. Once we are in table view, here see date is in long date format. When we are here, date is in general date format. Change it to long date format, otherwise this will not work. Okay, make sure you have committed the changes. So this is important step. Now we have these two values. If you want, you can also additionally calculate year over year percentage change. So for year over year percentage change, what we have to do, we have to create a new measure here, that is YoY percentage change. We are dividing. It's just a basic formula, right? That whatever is the total sales minus year over year sale, previous year sales, divided by previous year sales, and this 0 is just to avoid errors. Okay, so in divide, basically you have a denominator and a numerator, you can see. So first you write numerator and then the denominator. Okay, this 0 is just to avoid errors, to avoid error divided by 0, and then we are multiplying this by 100 because we want to show it as a percentage. So this year sale minus previous year sale divided by previous year sale into 100. I will provide you all these formulas And now we can see here, and we can use the percentage change. Okay, if you want to show a different unit, you can click on your measure, go to format visual, and display it in thousand. Here also you can display it in thousand, and here you can keep the measure as auto. This is percentage change. That's what we are showing here, right? Next is we can use date filter. Now when we have to show a filter, we have to use a slicer, as I just demonstrated you. So here we are using the filter, and in the filter we will add this date. Okay? I will show you by adding both dates, and I will go in slicer setting. First of all, I'm going to increase the value size so that it is properly visible here. So now I have selected 1/1/2023 here, 2/31/12/23 basically. We are viewing the data of 2023, and you can see it shows 876K. And here also you will see that when we have selected for the year 2024, it was showing that year sale as 1024K, but last year sale as 876K. So that kind of verifies that our calculations are right at this moment. And here, since the change from previous year is small, that's why we are seeing 1.61K here. Now the next thing is to calculate or create line charts that will show both of these dates. Okay, so in order to do that, we will simply add a line chart, and in the line chart we have created two measures. One is total sales measure and one is YoY sales. Now in x-axis we will use this date which we used as a, or which we converted after creating this calculated table, and we have already created the relationship between this date and this date, so we will automatically read the data. And here we will drag YoY sales, so this is going to tell us year over year sales, and this is going to tell us total sales. And this way you will have the two lines, one telling total sales and one telling year over year sales. In the line chart we can go to lines setting, and here we can select YoY sales, and we can display it as a dashed line. So you will be able to see that it's a dashed line, and we also have its color and transparency. So we can use the same color but display it with some transparency so that we can compare, day wise value. So if you will change, it will change accordingly. You can see when we are increasing number of days, so it is telling us values for the same preceding period. So this is what you can do here. There is just one more thing that I want to show here in this line chart. Obviously you can go in effects, you can enable shadow, visual border, those type of things you can do. But in line setting, if you will use this date, so when we use this date, you can see both the values were being shown on the same axis, same range. But when you will use this date, you will see YoY sale will be shown for the previous year in the timeline, and the total sales will be shown like this. So this is a way to create this type of data. This is how you can use time intelligence in Power BI and do year over year calculations, and you can show the percentage change, etc. Suppose we want to display the percentage change also here. So we also have a secondary y-axis for different measure which is other than a monetary value like sales. So for different values we can use a secondary axis. So you will be able to see that change also, and now it will also be added in lines. Okay, and here you can see YoY change is solid. It's okay. We can reduce its width to 1 pixel, and now you will be able to see year over year change percentage also. If you want to show these values, although it will be very complicated, but if you want to see these values, you can enable it. You can now play with these type of settings and try to create this. So this was a simple tutorial on time intelligence in Power BI.